So Paul, we've got the new Raven OMNIPOWER system behind us. What does this piece of equipment do for us?
What OMNIPOWER is a completely autonomous, self-propelled application machine. It actually is a power unit that comes in and picks up its implements, and then through software and a tablet that's in a remote vehicle, you actually can build a mission plan and deploy that machine to go do a job for you.
So I'm Tim Mundorf, Director of Soil Management here at Central Valley Ag, and today I'm with Paul Bruns, who's the sales specialist with Raven Industries, and we're talking about some of the new technology that CVA is working with a little bit with Raven. They're showing us some new things that we could work with both for our growers and for the cooperative itself. So talk just a little bit more about OMNIPOWER. We've got a dry spreader on the piece of equipment right now. What other equipment would work with it?
So one of the other implements that we've got for it is a sprayer that the machine can pick up. It's got a 1,600 gallon tank, 120-foot booms, decked out with all the latest and greatest of precision technology, from nozzle by nozzle to auto boom control and auto steer.
Sure. So as we think about this whole autonomous equipment, you know, we're looking at some maybe being able to use a little less operators, maybe able to run a little bit longer hours. What's the safety concerns that we have with something like this?
Safety is our utmost top concern, regardless of what piece of machinery we are on. And so one of the things that we make sure of is that we are in a controlled environment as far as within a field boundary that's been created, that the machine only knows that it can travel inside of. Through additional sensors and things that we are adding to that equipment, we start to move into the ability to start to have obstacle detection. And that's one of the things that we're working towards on the OMNIPOWER system. OMNIDRIVE has that perception system on it that we use on the grain carts today.
Now you brought up OMNIDRIVE versus OMNIPOWER. Explain a little bit about what the OMNIDRIVE system is.
So what OMNIDRIVE is it's an aftermarket kit that we add to an existing John Deere 8R wheel machine tractor or Magnum tractor. Sure. That allows us to automate the grain cart tractor driving. We're not controlling SCVs, we're not controlling a PTO, and we're not autonomously unloading. But the harvester operator has the ability from the cab of the combine to call that machine into sync. It'll match speed and position as he goes across the field, and when that's done, he can then send it back to a stage point or an unload point where his truck drivers can then climb in and fill their trucks accordingly. Sure.
So as long as I go back and fill the trucks kind of the same place all the time, that machine will go back and wait for the truck driver to show up. The truck driver can then go ahead and unload the grain off the cart and then go ahead and leave. And when I'm ready for the cart as the combine operator, I tell it I need it and it just comes to me.
It does. It knows based on that field boundary I talked about before, but also we create a coverage map so that this OMNIDRIVE knows where there has been crop harvested and where there hasn't been crop harvested. So we're not driving through standing crop. We have the ability to even map out if there's a wet spot in the field. Sure. You say, you know, it's a little bit too wet here. I don't want it to go through there. The beauty of it is OMNIDRIVE doesn't forget that. I don't know about you, but I know a couple grain cart drivers who've forgotten about wet spots in the past. Exactly. So we want to make sure that we stay out of that spot and we don't forget it until it dries up.
My in-laws are always complaining as I try to drive their tractor and grain cart over their terraces, so I'm assuming you can map those out as well?
Absolutely. The beauty of it is you come in with a field boundary that you can either preload as a zipped up shapefile, or we can actually draw it right on screen on the tablet. Obviously a driven one is more accurate, but all of those exclusion zones we can map out ahead of time, whether it's an intake, a wellhead, a rock pile, whatever it may be. If you don't want the tractor to go there, we map that out ahead of time.
So Paul, how long has this technology been available and in production for growers? Is this really kind of our first year, or have you had it out there for a couple of years?
We've been doing a lot of testing with both OMNIPOWER and OMNIDRIVE over the last 3-4 years, and now we're really starting to see some commercial systems go out the door.
Sure. So as we look at it from a cooperative, how do you talk to us about what some of the advantages would be for an ag retailer looking at something like this OMNIPOWER system?
Really the key of what autonomy brings, whether it's to the producer or even into the ag retail setting, we always have a shortage of good quality help. Whether it's at the farm or anywhere in ag, it seems like we're always struggling to find good help. And one of the nice things about autonomy is it's consistent. It's repeatable exactly in what it does every single time. And so you take some of that human error potential out of it. We're absolutely not about trying to eliminate jobs. It's how can we reallocate that job to something that's more important or has more value that might take some customization in the decision-making process. If it's a situation where here's my field, go spread, and it just has to drive up and down the field, want to let one machine or two machines potentially do the job of what one person did, and let that one individual manage those two machines in the field.
Sure. What does that operator have to do while he's there outside that field managing this machine as it's working?
He's going to be monitoring for example, on the OMNIPOWER machine, he'll be monitoring what the machine is doing through a tablet, usually in a pickup or some type of control vehicle. And then he also has a handheld unit which has his emergency stop switch on it. So that way he's always in control to make sure if it may not do something he feels is safe, he can stop that unit. We're not quite within an industry ready to have complete autonomous deploy it and leave it and go back for another load of fertilizer. We've got to still have somebody there today. We want to make sure that there's no one that ever gets hurt with an autonomous machine.
Sure. And as a cooperative, we're always going to need our tender truck operators and our dispatchers and all of our people that are doing the mapping and generating the fertilizer recommendations. We've still got plenty of things for people to be doing. This just would give us one more set of hands, electronic hands in this case, that could take care of one operation for us.
Exactly. You know, as we look on where autonomy is growing, you know, from the OMNIPOWER side, we see that as there's going to be plenty of opportunities for different manufacturers to be able to build their implement that matches up to our power unit. For example, on this machine here, we have a New Leader spreader box that's built by New Leader specifically to match up to our power unit. Sure. When it comes to OMNIDRIVE, where we're adding it in for the grain cart operation, we foresee that graduating into some of the next processes or applications are going to be tillage is going to be the biggest one a lot of guys are asking for.
Sure, but even maybe running a planter, as long as the grower's there to check and make sure everything's operating correctly.
Absolutely. I see a phenomenal opportunity to see autonomy bring the ability for us to maybe downsize our tractors and our implements a little bit, creating less compaction, but then have those autonomous machines run in a wingman type formation down the road and still have that same productivity but with one guy and getting the agronomic benefits of not creating compaction from a 48-row planter rolling across the field.
Very good. Well, thank you for bringing this technology to our growers. Thank you for showing us what's available both to our growers and what things CVA is looking at a little bit. I appreciate your help, and thanks, Paul.
You bet. Thank you.
I'm Tim Mundorf, Nutrient Management Lead. Thank you for watching this segment of Agronomy Focus.